Amma ba'd. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam actually mentions, of the virtues of saying the salam, that the one who initiates the salam, then he is the best of people. The easiest way to become the best of all people, inna akramakum indallahi atqakum, the best of you in the sight of Allah is the one who has taqwa. In this case, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam is saying the best of you is the one who initiates the salam. To initiate the salam, it can mean either two things: the one who says the salam first when you see people, or the one who sort of implements it in the community, where people may not have been saying the salam before, but then you started it off, and then because of you, many of the people, they start doing it. Maybe because you started saying the salam with your family, they all start saying it. You've become the best of all people. Allahu Akbar. May Allah grant us all a good understanding. And so today we're going to cover 3 more topics. The first is weakness of Iman, the second is shaitan's plot, and the third is some du'as to learn. And this is the final part of what we know as the su'ul khatima, or the evil end. And just to give a very, very quick recap, we've been over, this is the 3rd week. 2 weeks ago we went over some of the reasons, or the root causes, that will cause a person to have the evil ending, which is that, بَلَا وَلَكِنَّكُمْ فَتَنْتُمْ أَنفُسَكُمْ. That's the root cause of all things, is that a person, he leads himself into temptation, and then because of that he ends up having a bad end. Of the reasons that we gave, the common reasons, is that a person may corrupt his aqeedah, and a person may persist in sins, be it small sins, but because he persists in them and he loves to commit them, that at the time of death it may overtake his heart, because he's in love with those sins and he's in love with this dunya. The third common reason, which we went over last week, is turning away from righteousness. And we went over the story of Bala'am and Barsisa. Again, all of this will be uploaded soon, inshallah. Once it is, then you may go over it, recap. And so the next reason, weakness in Iman, and also a few ayat to go over as we are covering this. Allah, He says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ تَوَفَّاهُمُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ ظَالِمِي أَنفُسِهِمْ قَالُوا فِيمَ كُنْتُمْ قالوا كنا مستضعفين في الأرض قالوا ألم تكن أرض الله واسعة فتهاجروا فيها فأولئك مأواهم جهنم وَسَاءَتْ مَصِيرًا. That indeed for those whom the angels did take them in death, تَوَفَّاهُمُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ ظَالِمِي أَنفُسِهِمْ, they wronged themselves. And قَالُوا فِيمَ كُنْتُمْ, it would be said to them, in what condition were you? قَالُوا إِنَّا كُنَّا مُسْتَضْعَفِينَ فِي الْأَرْضِ, we were weak upon the earth, we were oppressed in the earth. That's what we will say. And we didn't have that much strength to practice our deen. We didn't have the freedom to practice our deen. So then the angels will say to them that, was the earth of Allah not wide enough for you to do hijrah? And subhanAllah, this is a powerful, powerful ayah, that for those who, let's say, they are being oppressed in a land, and they have the option to leave that land and go to another land where perhaps it's an Islamic country, or there's more Muslims there, and they are free to practice their deen and fulfill their obligations to Allah. And if they don't take that route, then at the time of death, they would have the evil end. Likewise, it can also be said that for those who live, let's say, in a secular country like this one over here, and in this day and age, we are all afraid for our children. We're all afraid for our own selves. How can we protect our deen, our own Iman, when there's so much of vice around us? But you have the option to do hijrah to another country, and you don't take that option, then you find a very terrible situation for yourself at the time of death, when the angels come to you and say, was the earth of Allah not wide enough? At the same time, it can be quite difficult, getting a visa to go to a different country, etc., etc. But you have to check your options. If you're struggling to implement your salah, for example, and to fulfill your obligations, and specifically because you are living in a certain area, and you have not tried to see whether you can go to another area, then you are blameworthy unless you've thoroughly checked. After you've checked, then you say, tawakkul ala Allah. You leave it to Allah, you tried your best, and Allah will have mercy. He is Ghafur Rahim. May Allah grant us all a good understanding. And so weakness in Iman. And subhanAllah, this is a terrifying thing that we are all, we could fall into. I'm going to read from the book, inshallah. So, if there is some weakness in a person's Iman, then there is a chance that at the time of death, because the weakness of his Iman was overtaken by sin. So when a person's Iman is weak, he cannot control himself. He cannot keep his nafs under discipline. So what happens then is he falls into sins. And then because he continues committing these sins, it's quite similar to persisting in sin. And all of these, reasons are quite linked together, as we'll sort of come to sooner or later, we'll find in this lecture today. But when there's weakness in Iman, because there is so little love for Allah, that when the time of death comes, because now you have to be departed from this world, and because your Iman is weak, at that moment, shaitan, he may come to you, and he may start doing waswas. And that's today's main topic, is the plot of shaitan. And subhanallah, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that the shayateen, they are present with you in everything, even when you eat. So say Bismillah before you eat, then they cannot eat from your food. When you enter your home, you're supposed to say a dua. Allahumma inni as'aluka khayra al-mawlaj wa khayra al-makhraj. Bismillahi walajna wa bismillahi kharajna wa ala Allahi rabbina tawakkalna. And then if you say this dua and then enter your home, the shayateen will say to one another, you won't find a place to rest over here tonight. You won't find food over here tonight. Your home will be protected. Likewise, a person may be eating. And this happened during the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then so he didn't say Bismillah before he started. And so then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam must have reminded him to say Bismillahi awwalahu wa akhirah. And then after he said this, he said this, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam started laughing. And then he explained, it's because I saw the shaitan. He was sharing your food with you or your drink with you. And the moment you said this, Bismillahi awwaluhu wa akhirah, he threw everything up. And so the sight of that, it made our Prophet ﷺ laugh. May Allah grant us really good understanding. The point is, shaitan, he is present with us. And the first thing that shaitan wants you and I to do is to forget about him. I mean, he's succeeded with majority of the people. They don't even believe that the devil exists. Half of them don't believe that he even exists. They just say that, it comes down to our own moral character, not realizing that we have waswas. But for us also as Muslimin, how often do we actually remember that actually, shaitan is there and I have to protect myself from him? This is something we all have to be seeking protection in Allah from on a daily basis. And so it's narrated, and this was one person. His name was Sulaymaan ibn Abdul Malik. And he entered Medina as a pilgrim. And when he got to Medina, he called out to the people that, is there anybody over here who's met a number of Sahaba? So when he entered Medina, he called out to the people and he asked them, is there anybody over here who's met any number of Sahaba? And so the people, they responded saying, yes, there's a man named Abu Hazim. So after he went and he got to Abu Hazim and he asked him a question. And this question, subhanAllah, is a series of questions. We'll go over it. It's powerful, to make us ponder and to make us think. So when he got to Abu Hazim, he said, Ya Abu Hazim, oh Abu Hazim, why is it that we dislike death? Why is it that we dislike death? And so he said, all of your efforts has been for this dunya. All of your efforts has been for this dunya, not for the akhirah. So you hate to leave that which you prepared for in order to go for that which you have made no preparation for. Allahu Akbar. Powerful, powerful words. Like imagine, and this is an example I came across when listening to a lecture online. It's such a powerful example. Imagine you go to a hotel and you're going to stay in that hotel for maybe a week. And after that, you're going to go back home. But when you go to the hotel, you like the place so much, you start painting its walls, you start decorating it, you go onto the website, you order all this fancy furniture, and then you place it in the hotel. Does that make sense? No. But then this is the example of this dunya. This dunya is like a hotel, temporary. But then when you go back home, because the home was left completely it was not renovated at all. It's just a run-down home. You spent all your paint in that hotel room. You spent all your money on furniture for that hotel room, and then you left it. So when you go back home, there's nothing there. You don't want to leave that hotel. Likewise, the people don't want to leave this dunya because everything they did, all of their efforts, it was for dunya. May Allah grant us all a good understanding. And so the stronger we do more righteous deeds, the more righteous deeds we do, the stronger our Iman increases. And likewise, in order for a action, one of our actions, our deeds, to be righteous, salih, it has to have two things. It has to have, number one, ikhlas, that it's for Allah alone. That you're doing an action, you're doing a deed, whatever you're doing, you're only seeking the reward with Allah. You don't want anybody else to give you any reward. That's ikhlas. That you only want Allah to be pleased with you with that action. And number two, compliance. It has to comply with the sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If you go and do some bid'ah, then that's not a righteous deed. It has to comply with the sharia of Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If you have these two conditions, then that is a righteous action. And the more righteous actions you do, then the stronger your Iman becomes. The stronger your Iman becomes, the more you can take knowledge. Your heart, it becomes open to ilm, to beneficial knowledge. Because knowledge is nur. And with nur, it does not mix with darkness. Light and dark, it does not mix. So if your heart is filled with sin, how can you expect in your heart for there to be any nur, for there to be guidance? Rather, you have to clean your heart first. Again, may Allah grant us all a good understanding. Let us continue, inshallah. So after he said, you hate to leave that for which you have prepared for, in order to go to that for which you made no preparations. And so Sulaymaan, he said, indeed, you have spoken the truth. Then he asked the next question. I wonder, what is in store with us? What is in store for us with Allah? Think about it. What is in store for us with Allah? And so Abu Hazim, he responded saying, check what you have done. Look at all of your actions over the entirety of your life. Check what you have done in accordance with the book of Allah. See how closely your actions align with the Quran and the Sunnah. See how closely your lifestyle aligns with the Quran and the Sunnah. Look at your habits. How closely are they aligned with the habits that Allah wants you to have in your life? From simple things, from entering the masjid with your right foot, entering your home with your right foot, putting your clothes on with your right hand first, taking it off with your left hand first. Little things, little habits that Rasulullah ﷺ told us to follow. Eating to the best of our ability with our right hand, for example. Now again, there's many people, they may be left-handed when they're young, and they struggle to eat with their right hand. And many of them, they actually cannot control it much. In that case, they are excused. Because this deen is all about ease. This deen, Islam, is all about ease. So we also do not make things difficult for people. And we're saying this specifically to parents. Usually when you see a child, he's eating with his left hand, and you know that there's perhaps a condition or something, then go easy on him and don't be too harsh. May Allah grant us all a good understanding again. And so then after that, Abu Hazim, he said, or rather Sulaymaan, he asked him, where will I find this? For me, for my actions to align with the book of Allah, where can I find this in the Quran? And so after he responded saying in the ayah, إِنَّ الْأَبْرَارَ لَفِي نَعِيمٍ وَإِنَّ الْفُجَّارَ لَفِي جَحِيمٍ. That indeed the righteous, abrar, those who were obedient, they were dutiful, they were dutiful to Allah. They were good people, they used to do good deeds. Then they will be in delight, na'im, in bliss. وَإِنَّ الْفُجَّارِ, the opposite. What is a fujjar? The example, there's something that bursts. Fajara, for example. Or biharu fujjirat, for example. When the oceans will burst on Yawm al-Qiyamah. So when we have this tendency inside of us to fall into sin, or we have this impulsiveness to fulfill our desires, that is the fujjirat. And that is the fujjar, rather. The one who is impulsive when it comes to sins, because he didn't want to discipline his nafs. So they will be in the fire. May Allah grant us a good understanding. After that, Sulaymaan, not alayhi salam, he's not the Prophet of Allah. Sulaymaan ibn Abdul Malik, he went and he asked the next question, and he said, where is the rahmah of Allah? And so after Abu Hazim, he responded saying, the rahmah of Allah is close to those who do good. Simple. The rahmah of Allah is always close to those who do good. And then he asked the next question. And this question, it's so profound. Subhanallah, it's an amazing question. I wonder, he said, how will I appear before Allah? How will I appear before Allah? What sort of opinion does Allah have of me? How does Allah see me? Are we worshipping Him on a daily basis? How does He see me? Is He pleased with me? Am I beloved to Him? And we all want to be beloved to Allah. Am I perhaps a wali of His? We all want to be the awliya of Allah. May Allah make us of them. Allahu waliyul ladina amanu. Simple. You have Iman, you're already a wali of Allah. Subhanallah. So he said, two examples. The first person is like the person who has a good family. He's always good to his family. And then he goes away for a while. Perhaps he goes for jihad. He's absent from the family. But then he comes back to his family. How happy his family is to see him again. That is like the one who does good in this dunya. That when you meet Allah, that is how Allah will be with you. Happy. Allah loves to meet you. The one who loves to meet Allah, Allah loves to meet him. Whereas the one who did bad, his example is like a runaway slave who ran away from his master. And the moment he came back, his master was just angry with him. And therefore he has punishment awaiting him. And so at this moment, Sulaymaan, he started to cry. And he said, advise me, what should I do? What should I do? And these simple words we can live by. Abu Hazim, he said, beware, be very careful, lest Allah sees you where He has forbidden you to be. Be very careful, lest Allah sees you where He has forbidden you to be. And ensure that you are where Allah has commanded you to be. Subhanallah, it's simple. Stay away from all of the haram and stick to the halal. If we do that, we'll find that there will be no weakness in our Iman. May Allah grant us all a good understanding. And so it's mentioned that during our final moments, okay, we've got 10 minutes, alhamdulillah. During our final moments, shaitan, he may come to us. And it's happened to many people in the past. So when death comes, the shaitan, he is keen not to let that person go. Because this is the final moment. This is the final time he can take that person away with him to Jahannam. And so when a person is on his dying moments, he tells his comrades, like, go for him and don't let him go. Because if you let him go now, that's it, you will never ever get him again. And so our ulama, they mention that during these critical moments of death, the shaitan, he may come to a person. And it's been mentioned that, from some of the righteous people of the Salaf, they came to them, the shayateen came to them in the form of their loved ones. And in the form of their loved ones, they say, look, we care about you. I'm your father. I looked after you. Or they'll come in the image of your mother. She will say, you were in my womb. I looked after you. Now believe me, there's nothing after you die. So just choose Christianity, choose Judaism, choose another religion. Don't worry, it's fine. You don't have to say La ilaha illallah. There's nothing after that. As you can see, we're still here. We're just roaming about the earth. That's just one example. Now this doesn't happen all the time. So it's not something where for each and every single person, shaitan will go to them in the form of their loved ones. This may be how he chooses to go to certain individuals. And likewise, it's been mentioned, and it's a genuine story regarding Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal. May Allah have mercy upon all of our maruhumeen who have gone before us. And so the son, Abdullah, he said, my father was dying. So he was in his dying moments. And I had in my hand a piece of cloth with which to bind his beard. And he was drifting in and out of consciousness. So he was in the phase of sakarat, as we've explained before. And so he kept on gesturing, or he kept on moving his hand, and he said, no, not yet, not yet. So after his son is thinking, you're not ready to go? What is there left for you over here? You have been a righteous person. Are you not ready to go? And he kept on saying, not yet, not yet. And then after he came into consciousness, and so then after his son asked him, he's like, oh, my father, what was that? He kept on saying, no. We say La ilaha illallah, and you're saying no. Allahu Akbar. Then he said, the shaitan, he came to me, And he was standing near me. And he said, and he was biting his fingertips out of eagerness, and he was desperate to get him. And he said, Ya Ahmed, you've escaped me. Ya Ahmed, you've escaped me. You managed to beat me. And he was saying, not yet, because I'm not dead yet. I'm still here. Not yet. That's why he was saying, not yet. Allahu Akbar. It's also mentioned by Qurtubi that his sheikh, he was also in his dying moments, and he was saying, it was told to him to say, La ilaha illallah. Say, La ilaha illallah. And he said, no, no, no. So after when he came back to consciousness, they asked him, why do you say no? And he said that 2 devils came to me on my right and on my left. One of them was saying, die as a Jew, it is the best of religions. So I was saying no. And the other one was saying, die as a Christian, it is the best of religions. And I was saying no. But like again, we explained, that doesn't mean it's going to happen to each and every single one of us. But what is certain is that we will have waswas. Is that the waswas of shaitan will be there, even in our dying moments. And so it's like how a good example to look at is how often do you fall into the waswas of shaitan in this life? If you are prone to falling into the waswas of shaitan in this life, then how difficult will it be for you to protect yourself from him on your dying moments? Seeking refuge in Allah is the only protection. And Iman, Salah, Inna salata tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar. I mean, it's been proven by those who do sihr, witches, those who do black magic. They say that around Muslims there is a certain barrier. We can't get through to them. The videos on YouTube, you guys can go watch it later on, inshallah. But Salah is the beginning. It protects us. And so imagine we are going through the pain of death. And we are worshippers of Allah. So we expect death to be easy. But you'll find that for some believers, death is even more painful than for the disbelievers. Because Allah, He wants to reward them for that sabr that they are bearing. But then, shaitan, he wants to come and confuse you. He say, oh, look, Allah is making you go through a lot of pain. It must be because He's displeased with you. Maybe He hasn't forgiven you for your sins. And because you're going through this pain in death, most likely He's not going to forgive you anyway, so why hold on to Islam? We may get these thoughts during our dying moments. And because we don't know what's going to happen, it can become very difficult for us to protect ourselves from that. Which is why this is shaitan's final plot. If you look at your life, and if you look at the majority of your deeds, if you're falling into sins because of the waswas of shaitan, then that is something very dangerous, and you and I, we need to change that. Because when our death approaches, again, how are we going to protect ourselves? And so it's mentioned that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he taught us a dua. He said every single time, when you're in your salah, your farad salah, before you say salam, or actually any salah, say this dua. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min a'adhab al-qabr, wa min a'adhab jahannam, wa min fitnati al-mahya wa mamat, wa min sharri fitnati al-masih al-dajjal. That, oh Allah, I seek refuge in you from the punishment of the qabr. And I seek refuge in you from the punishment of Jahannam. And from the fitna of mahya wa mamat, of life and death. The ulama explains, life can mean everything, all of the trials that you experience in this life, you're asking Allah to protect you from it, and mainly at the time of your death. So when you are nearing your end, wa mamat, and your death, when shaitan comes to you, you're asking Allah to protect you from him. Such an important dua. Allahu Akbar. Again, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min adhab al-qabr, wa min adhab jahannam, wa min fitnati al-mahya wa mamat, wa min sharri fitnati al-masih al-dajjal. And likewise, there is another dua, and it's mentioned that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said this also, and we should make a habit of saying it. Allahumma ghfirli warhamni. Oh Allah, forgive me, have mercy on me, wa alhiqni bir-rafiq al-a'la. This is specifically, you're supposed to say this in your dying moments. But if you make a habit from now, and again, you have to say it with understanding. You cannot just say, Allahumma ghfirli warhamni walhiqni bir-rafiq al-a'la, and you have no idea what it means. So, Allahumma ghfirli, oh Allah, forgive me, warhamni, have mercy on me, wa alhiqni, and join me, bir-rafiq al-a'la, with the highest companion. Rafiq al-a'la means an-nabiyyin, was-siddiqeen, was-shuhada, was-salihin. And likewise, the highest companion himself, which is none other than Al-A'la or Al-Ali himself, Allah. And so if we can remind ourselves, it's the duty of every believer to be thinking about death on a daily basis. And when you think about death, then you say this dua, that Ya Rab, I'm saying it from now, so that I can be in the habit that when my death comes to me, I will say it from the bottom of my heart, with ikhlas, with understanding, with ihsan. Allahumma ghfirli warhamni wa alhiqani birrafiqil a'la. Allahu Akbar. May Allah grant us all the ability to do so. And so you may be wondering, how else can we protect ourselves from shaitan? And we'll finish on this note. SubhanAllah, 2 minutes. Good timing, alhamdulillah. So, Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anh, he went to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam and he said, O Messenger of Allah, instruct me of what to say in the morning and the evening. Teach me a dua to say every morning and every evening. Now the first thing you need to ask yourself is, what sort of dua is the best of all creation, Afdalul Khalq, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, going to teach the best of all people to walk upon the earth after the Anbiya? His best friend, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. That's the first question. Wow, this must be an amazing dua then. And so he says, say, Allahumma alim al-ghaybi wa shahada, fatir as-samawati wal-ard, rabba kulli shay'in wa malika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant, a'udhu bika min sharri nafsi, ومن شر الشيطان وشركه وأن أقترف على نفسي سوءا أو أجره إلى مسلم. It means, Allahumma عالم الغيب والشهادة. O Allah, the knower of the unseen and the seen. فاطر السماوات والأرض, the originator of the heavens and the earth. رب كل شيء, the Lord of all things. رب كل شيء ومليكه, and its king, its malik. أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت. We bear witness, or I bear witness, that there is none worthy of worship except you. And subhanAllah, powerful, powerful dua. A'udhu bika min sharri nafsi. That's the first thing you're asking. Oh Allah, I seek refuge in you from the evil of my own soul. This is everything that's got to do with the common reason that we've been going over, be it corrupted aqeedah, be it weakness in Iman, be it turning away from righteousness, be it hypocrisy or nifaq. Anything that could lead you to have the evil end, A'udhu bika min sharri nafsi. I seek refuge in you from the evil of my own soul. Wa min sharri shaitan. And I seek refuge in you from the evil of shaitan. Throughout your entire day, if you say this in the morning, the entire day you're protected from your own soul, from the evil of your own soul, and from shaitan. Wa shirki. And it means two things. Either the shirk that he is calling you to, that you leave tawheed. And number two, it could also mean his partners, meaning those who assist him, the shayateen from jinn and man. وَأَنْ أَقْتَرِفَ عَلَى نَفْسِي سُوءًا, and from bringing some evil over myself, أَوْ أَجُرَّهُ إِلَى Muslim, or from harming a Muslim. This is a dua we should try and implement every morning and every evening. And finally, after Maghrib and after Fajr, if you say, لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد وهو على كل شيء قدير, 10 times. So just that, you say it 10 times after Fajr and after Maghrib. And one of the rewards is that Allah, He protects you from shaitan. If you say it after Fajr, Allah, He protects you from shaitan that entire day. If you say it after Maghrib, Allah, He protects you from shaitan the entire night. And again, may Allah grant us all a good understanding. We'll keep that over there for today. Next week is going to be our final part of the Al-Maut section, which is all about the good ending. So we've been over the evil ending. Now we have to speak about the Husnul Khatimah, which is the beautiful ending, which is what we are all striving for. After that, we'll have been complete with our series on Al-Maut itself, and we'll be moving on to the Qabr and the life of the Qabr and the different things that happen in the Qabr. We'll keep it over there. Allahumma ja'al khayra a'malina akhirah wa khayra a'malina khawatimah wa ja'al khayra ayyamana yawman alqaq. اللهم زدنا ولا تنقصنا وأكرمنا ولا تهنا وأعطنا ولا تحرمنا وآرثنا ولا تؤثر علينا وارضنا وارض عنا. اللهم ارزقنا حبك وحب من ينفعنا حبه عندك. اللهم ما رزقتنا مما نحب فاجعله قوة لنا فيما تحب. اللهم وما زويت عنا مما نحب فاجعله فراغا لنا فيما تحب. اللهم إنا نسألك الثبات في الأمر والعزيمة على الرشد، ونسألك موجبات رحمتك وعزائم مغفرتك، ونسألك شكر نعمتك وحسن عبادتك، ونسألك قلبا سليما ولسانا صادقا. ونسألك من خير ما تعلم ونعوذ بك من شر ما تعلم ونستغفرك لما تعلم إنك أنت علام الغيوب وصلى الله على نبينا محمد. أقول قولي هذا سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.